What's up, moviegoers? It's Luke Rollins again, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be doing the Captain Marvel movie review, so let's get started. Captain Marvel is an extraterrestrial Kree warrior who finds herself caught in the middle of an intergalactic battle between her people and the Skrulls. Living on Earth in 1995, she keeps having reoccurring memories of another life as U.S. Air Force pilot Carol Danvers. With the help from Nick Fury, Captain Marvel tries to uncover the secrets of her past while harnessing her special superpowers to end the war with the evil Skrulls. Okay, guys, so this movie came out in 2019. I know you guys are probably wondering why I'm doing this movie review now. Really, I'm just, rewatching Marvel movies and, rewatching, old movies and then gonna do, reviews on them. But yeah, this movie came out back in 2019, right before Avengers Endgame, which was a really nice transition for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And before we get started with this review, the directors of this movie are Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. They directed movies like Mississippi Grind, It's Kind of a Funny Story, and Sugar. Okay, guys, so I had done this movie review like a year or two ago, and I decided to make some changes about this, review. So let's get started. Okay, guys, so one of the things I really love about this movie is, number one, the casting is on point. We got Brie Larson, Ben Mendelsohn, Gemma Chan, Samuel L. Jackson, which I love in the Marvel movies, and Jude Law. He plays as Young-Rog, and he's basically Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers' trainer in this movie. We got Annette Bening starring as the Supreme Intelligence, and then we got Lashana Lynch starring as Maria Rambeau. She's supposed to be Carol Danvers', best friend back in 1995 in this movie. This movie basically takes place in 1995, not present day. That would be Avengers Endgame. And then we got Akira Akbar. I'm sorry if I misread that, but she plays as Monica Rambeau, the daughter of Maria Rambeau. And then we got Clark Gregg starring as Phil Coulson. They basically edited Samuel L. Jackson and Clark Gregg to make them look younger because it's supposed to take place, back in the day, 1995. Okay, guys, but what I love about this movie is the plot is okay. There are, a few stumbles in this movie. Like in the middle of the movie will, start to kind of feel more of like a TV show, or, it'll start to get just a little bit boring, which I feel like the directors could have, sped the movie up just a little bit because it was kind of boring towards the middle of the movie. Now, the beginning of the movie is, outstanding. I like how they started off with, the blast of how, Captain Marvel, starring as Carol Danvers, got her powers, which I love how they, made that transition in the beginning. Not knowing what really happened to her, and yeah, that's what I love about this movie. One of the things. Another good thing about this movie is the visual effects. The visual effects in this movie are very outstanding and just amazing in this movie, especially if you've seen the trailer, how she gets her powers, the blast, and the space fight scenes. Everything, with the visual effects is amazing. Okay, guys, so let's talk more about the villains in this movie. Now, as we all know, the villains are probably the best thing we look forward to, in watching Marvel movies, such as, Thanos, Young-Rog, and Ronan. Okay, guys, so right now I'm going to talk about some of the down points about Captain Marvel and this movie. Okay, guys, so as we all know, in the comics, or if you guys really aren't, like, if you aren't like a comic book fan, but in the comics, Carol Danvers is supposed to be a U.S. Air Force pilot. She's supposed to be really good at flying planes. In this movie, we do not get to see Carol Danvers use that skill, something that, she's supposed to be good at in the comic books, flying airplanes, supporting the U.S. Air Force, stuff. We don't really get to see that in this movie. The story kind of, passes that concept in this movie, which is a really down point, because I'm sure there are a lot of, comic book fans or, Marvel fans who know that she's an Air Force pilot. We don't really get that. They don't show Carol Danvers, starring as Captain Marvel, have that skill of flying airplanes, supporting the U.S. They kind of skip that part in this movie, and I just feel like that's probably like, part of the downside about this movie is her being a U.S. Air Force pilot. Now, what she does really good with is, as we all know, all the Marvel movies are connected in some way. Like if you guys have seen Guardians of the Galaxy Part 1 or 2, they introduce, the Infinity Stones. In this movie, they actually start to, connect, more characters for, future Marvel movies. Like Maria Rambeau, we know she's supposed to be the mother of Monica Rambeau. I believe Monica Rambeau, which stars as this little girl in this movie, she eventually works for S.H.I.E.L.D. I know she's supposed to be in some Disney Plus show, WandaVision or something like that. Monica Rambeau is supposed to come into the picture. And, I mean, that's what this movie does, well with. They do add more, characters that can, come in, Marvel movies, ahead of time in the future. And, yeah, that's a good thing about, this movie. Now, one of the bad things about this movie is, you're probably not going to like this, but if you've seen in the trailer, we don't really get to see her we don't really get to see Captain Marvel use her, superhero abilities, as in, being able to fly. They don't put that in this movie as much. They kind of tease it a little. Like if you've seen in the trailer, she's able to, fly in space and, do all that. That's probably like about 4 or 5 minutes, in this movie. Actually, the space fight scene with her flying in space and, whooping ass and all that, that's probably about like 20 seconds, which I don't understand. The movie did kind of fall short, but I do see why the directors, kind of did that with this movie. My guess is they probably wanted to tease Captain Marvel into, future movies. Like the next movie, which was Avengers Endgame, they wanted to tease her to get people, interested in her. And yeah, because she's supposed to have a big role in Endgame. And that's probably what they wanted to do, was, try to get people to, like her. And yeah, so that's probably why they didn't have, enough time to do all that. But, I mean, in the middle of the movie, they could have done better. The directors could have added, like, a little bit of action in the middle. Would have made the movie a little better. I mean, this movie is a great movie. I'm just not too fond of the middle of the movie. The middle of the movie could have been better. Okay, so what the directors did right with starring Brie Larson as Captain Marvel is, I believe I saw in some article why they chose Brie Larson was because she was in that movie Room. If you've seen the Netflix movie Room, where she's a mother of this little boy, and they've been kidnapped, and she had this type of, emotion. She was able to act in emotion, and this movie is all about, feelings, emotion, and, family and all that. So I think the directors had chose her because she was able to have that acting skill of getting into character. Yeah. And she got an Oscar award for that movie Room. So if I were you, I would check that movie out. It was a really good movie. And yeah. Now, Carol Danvers, starring Captain Marvel, and Nick Fury. Nick Fury and Captain Marvel have this type of humor, which is hilarious. I love in this movie. It's sweet, it's charming, it's fun. They have this humor, this funny humor that will have audiences laughing. They also have this cat called Goose, which I absolutely love in this movie. The cat's a flirkin, basically eats a whole bunch of people, and I think Goose is probably one of the best things in this movie that I love. But Captain Marvel is probably the best. But in this movie, the relationships between Nick Fury and Carol Danvers is just amazing. As well as Talos starring as, the Skrull in this movie. He's got this funny humor that I think everyone is just gonna love, and it's really good. If I'm going to rate this movie, I'm probably gonna give it 4.5 stars. Why I'm giving it 4.5 is the visual effects were stunning. The acting by Brie Larson was just so emotional. She got into character with Carol Danvers, and we have a really good villain in this movie. I'm not going to tell you who the villain is. I think I already did in the beginning of the video, but I'm not going to tell you right now. You don't want to spoil it. But we have some good villains in this movie. The cast in this movie, we have a good cast that will lead up to the future Marvel movies, which I just think is brilliant. And the story is okay. The middle could have been better, but this movie just was outstanding to me. It was amazing. It fit perfectly in between Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. It had a nice transition. I personally loved Avengers Endgame. Captain Marvel was in it. Something they didn't do right with Avengers Endgame, though, is they didn't have Captain Marvel in there as much as people probably would have, liked. But still, this movie was really good. I highly suggest you check this movie out. It's on, you have to pay for it, but it's on cable or whatever device. But yeah, this movie was a good movie. You guys should check it out. And I will get back to you with more Marvel movie reviews or more movie reviews. I plan on doing this movie called Extraction movie review probably later this week or this weekend. But I will get back to you, with more reviews. Alright guys, well if you're new to my channel, don't forget to like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. And I will see you guys in the next movie review. Bye guys, and stay safe.